Okay, so welcome to this special edition of ABNcast. We have come all the way to North Wales, to Llandudno, for the Aerospace Wales Expo. It's the fourth, I've just been told, such expo. It doesn't always happen in Llandudno, but it's the first that's taking place in this lovely seaside town, although the weather's a little bit dodgy outside at the moment. I'm joined by Rachael Blackburn, who is the Chief Operating Officer of Aerospace Wales. Rachael, thanks for joining us on ABNcast, but also thanks for inviting us along to experience what you've put on today. Tell us all about it. I mean, firstly, what is Aerospace Wales? What do you do?
So Aerospace Wales is the trade body for the aerospace, defence and space sectors in Wales.
Okay.
So we cover the whole of the country. We've got 240 member companies covering all those different subsectors of what is essentially the aerospace industry.
Okay. I know Wales, Wales has got a very strong hub in the south, around the Cardiff area. We know lots of companies based down there, but there's also quite a lot of activity in this area, isn't there, with Airbus just down the road towards Chester.
Exactly, yes. So South Wales, like you say, is a real hub of activities, especially around MRO, maintenance, repair and overhaul. So that's where most of that subsector is.
Yeah.
And then in North Wales, as you say, we've got Airbus, and then we have all the supply chain companies based around them.
Yeah.
There's also quite a large defence presence in North Wales. So you've got Raytheon around Broughton,
yeah.
And then of course you go across to Anglesey and you've got RAF Valley where they do all the training there.
Right, okay. So it's an important sector for Wales, isn't it? Aviation and aerospace.
It's massive, yes. About 23,000 people in Wales are employed in the sector. It adds a huge amount to the economy because obviously they're highly skilled, high paid jobs.
Yeah.
And yes, they really do enhance the country and its economy.
And how many exhibitors have you got here today? It must be about 40 or 50, I'd say.
Yeah, so actually 56 exhibitors,
Okay.
56 exhibitors here today. And the idea is that we really like to bring on members together.
Yeah.
So there are so many events that go on throughout the year, and it's either more like a conference scenario where it's kind of death by PowerPoint, and we didn't want that.
Yeah.
Or it's meet the buyer situation, and then the people from the primes are sat behind desks, and they just have 10-minute slots with the companies. We kind of wanted to turn that on its head. Mm-hmm. So we've invited the primes to come here and walk the floor. Okay. So they have all religiously, and I'm monitoring them, they are walking up and down and they're talking to everybody.
When you say primes, just so you know,
yes,
that is the leading companies, the place, like the Airbuses of this world.
It is the key players in the industry. So it's Airbus, Boeing, BAE Systems, MBDA, Safran and Teledyne.
Okay.
So they're here to learn what our member companies do.
Yeah.
And this is the best way, I think, to do it because they can physically see their products, their services, and they're a bit more relaxed explaining what they do, having that backdrop and kind of props. Because you put people on a one-to-one in a meet the buyer situation, they've got 10 minutes to get everything out.
Right.
So this is, I think this is a more relaxed, informal, which is what we're all about in Aerospace Wales.
You've obviously got the stands, which is where we are now. This is a stands area. There's an area over there to sort of network and have lunch.
That's my collaboration station.
Nice.
So when the buyers have walked up and down, the primes have walked up and down, they're very amenable to have really relaxed, informal conversations in the collaboration station area over a cup of coffee.
And there are sessions going on outside of this main hall.
There is.
What's going on in those?
So we've had a series of workshops just to give people a few more insights into what's sort of prevalent in today's world. So we've just had one actually on the new employment law that's coming into effect from the 1st of April.
Yeah.
Everybody's come out terrified. They're trembling, thinking, oh my God, I didn't know this was going to happen. So it's been quite eye-opening. But yes, a lot of different workshops just taking place today.
Yeah, as well as companies, I've seen a few from academia over there. I think Swansea, Bristol,
Wrexham.
And Wrexham are here.
Yes.
So it's important you get the academia along as well, is it?
It's always at the heart of what we do is bringing all these different people together. So we've also got Welsh Government. We've had the head of the Army and the head of the Air Force in Wales here as well. So it's trying to get that mix. So it is academia, it is government, it is MOD, and then of course it is the SMEs and also the prime companies.
So interesting what you're saying before about the primes coming here to find out about what the tier 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 companies are doing, and there's a few of those around. Do you think there's enough collaboration? You know, we know that the aerospace sector in general is facing a skills shortage, particularly in the engineering side of things. So is there enough going on where yes, of course, companies compete for talent as well as everything else, but should they also be doing more to collaborate on promoting careers and skills in this sector to the next generation?
It's a really good question, and it is not easy to give a solution to that. So I'm based up in North Wales,
Yeah.
which is why I'm passionate about bringing events up here so they're not always down in Cardiff.
Yeah.
But the big thing that you have in North Wales, like you said earlier, is Airbus. So all the youngsters in school, or they come out of university and they want to go and work for Airbus. And actually, that's not always going to be the best fit for them. There are other companies that supply into Airbus. So in effect, they will be working within that Airbus structure,
Yeah.
but just for another company. And it's how we get that message across.
Yeah.
They could be doing something much more interesting. They could be part of a smaller team, especially when you're just coming out of education. To get that learning could actually really enhance their long-term prospects so much better than just diving straight into a big machine like Airbus.
I mean, it's clear just coming to something like this that the industry is an ecosystem. It's not just one large company can dominate and do everything. They can't. They need to work with specialists because they only have so much scope to do things.
Exactly, and this is where we come in as well. So during COVID, we set up the MRO hub, the Maintenance, Repair and Overhaul hub. I say that's a really strong subsector for us in Wales. And what we did was we brought about a dozen companies together. My original thinking was it would enable them to bid for contracts that they couldn't do on their own. So by pooling their resources, they would have greater opportunities. Right. What actually happened during COVID was there were times when they had a surplus of staff, but they didn't want to lay them off or furlough them.
Yep.
Luckily, at the same time, other companies within my MRO hub needed them. So because we built that trust and that ecosystem, they were actually swapping staff. And that was brilliant for the staff as well, because they were getting experience that they wouldn't otherwise have had. So that it was learning for them, it was keeping them interested, and it was keeping the industry, the MRO industry, going in Wales as well. Yeah.
You talk about the youngsters, the school kids, and you no doubt be outreach into academia, but also not just the university, but prior to the university. How important is it that aviation gets to those kids, the children? And you said Airbus is something that we'll aspire to work for in that region, but really, the more the merrier, really. And I wonder if aviation is aspirational as it used to be for young aspiring engineers or people doing the right subjects at school.
Okay. I'm going to be honest with you, and I think the answer is no. They all want to be on Britain's Got Talent or the X Factor or be TikTok stars, influencers, exactly. And for me personally, this is too big of a problem for me to even really deal with. We're a small team in Aerospace Wales. There's only 3 of us.
Okay.
There's only so much we can do. So my thing is I can't get skills is the biggest problem.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because it's just too big for me to even think about. So it's like, no, I'm going to park that. But what I can do for our 240 members is give them a platform.
Yeah.
So like we've got over 25,000 followers on LinkedIn. So I say, if you've got a good news story, we will put it out there for you. So we can help them raise their profile to attract, hopefully then be more attractive to people looking for work.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I draw the line on skills, because it terrifies me that as we move forward, it's the biggest problem within the industry. I know that.
Totally agree.
I know that.
We
but
see it.
Just me sat here. No, I can't change that.
But it's not just generic. It's like, let's get into the engineering side of it, because if there's no engineers, there's no aircraft taking off. So you don't need cabin crew and pilots. You can forget that.
Exactly.
You've got to get those engineers in there, and that's probably the biggest crisis that the industry's facing.
Yeah. And hopefully, I mean, what we do, we travel the world as well. So we've just come back from Singapore Air Show. This year, we're over in America for MRO Americas. We've got Amsterdam. We've got Farnborough Air Show. We've got then back to Singapore, maybe Cambodia, China.
Yeah.
So it's actually a really exciting industry for people to get into that want to travel, that have got ambition to learn a trade and move up. And it's really interesting how many people, when you talk to them here, started off as maybe an Airbus apprentice and then they've learnt those skills and gone off and set up their own business.
Yeah.
So it's having that entrepreneurial spirit and having the support from organisations such as Aerospace Wales and also from Welsh governments who are really brilliant at helping companies here.
It's really good to see how many startups there are, because the perception you would think is it's really hard to start up in aviation. How the hell do you start?
Yes.
But actually, it's not true. There's loads around here today that
Yes.
very small, very startup-y, agile.
That's where the space sector has really, can I say taken off? It's like such an awful pun. But space is so attractive to those new graduates. It seems to be a sexy industry to get into for the kids. You know, they think about going to the moon. NASA's starting their moon landings again. It's the right time to be in it. And that is seeing such growth. And actually in Wales particularly, we have set up that ecosystem to support those companies. And that is a real success story for us at the moment.
Or even the eVTOL sector is quite a little bit, has that other sort of cool aspect to it. This is something new and innovative.
Exactly. And then, of course, because of the unfortunate events in Ukraine, that's completely changed warfare on its head. And the drones and what's coming from the drones. The issue with drone manufacture in the UK is the motors. So it's really hard to get motors that aren't from China. So there's all these where you just think you just need someone to see, right, these are the problems, I can be the solution. And there are those opportunities at the moment.
That's part of what is trending, certainly, is that bringing back supply chains more locally, there's an opportunity there because of what we learned. Well, COVID really sort of exposed the supply chain issues. So
exactly, and then the semiconductors. There were floods in Thailand. There's all those, and obviously the geopolitical things going on now. There's a lot of things pointing to bring your supply chain back into the UK, back into Wales, and it's ticking your green credentials as well. So, yes, win-win.
Rachel, we're delighted to come up today and think it's been a really good show so far. We've still got the afternoon to go, so there's plenty of time for more discussions.
We're having informal champagne and canapes to carry on those conversations.
Always good to finish the day with champagne. I'm driving, so I won't be, but unfortunately, however, no, thanks very much for that. We're going to be trying our bit to raise the profile of this sector with our Best Places to Work in Aviation initiative, which we're launching any day now. So we'd like to see as many of your members registering to become the best place, because I think they should, and they probably will if they do enter. So we look forward to hearing from them and putting them on a pedestal and showing not only this sector, but beyond the sector, what good companies there are in aviation and what great careers there are to be had.
Couldn't agree with you more, and we will absolutely promote that initiative through our network.
Great, thanks very much.
Pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Cheers. Okay, so I'm joined by Dave Cooper, who is the managing director of a company called Tarvin Precision. Welcome, Dave. Welcome, and thanks for joining us on ABNcast. Here, being recorded today at the Aerospace Wales event in Llandudno. There's about 40 so exhibitors,
Indeed.
All showing off what they have in terms of skills and careers in the industry. So just start off, Dave, by telling us about what Tarvin, what do you do?
Okay, so we're subcontract precision machinists to AS 9100 level with all the sort of accreditations that you need to have to be in the aerospace defence sectors, things like Cyber Essentials Plus, JOSCAR registered. So we operate at tier 1 level, or as low as tier 3, depending on the customer requirement. So we're handling a lot of machining. It's all UK based. We don't go offshore for anything. We don't involve offshore for anything. And we tend to be, our sort of sweet spot is low volume, high variety work.
Okay, so you're producing the parts that the industry desperately needs, because we know there's the supply chain issues that are prevalent in the industry today.
Certainly
you are producing them in Wales, because you're based in where?
Yeah, we are. So we're in North Wales, North East Wales. We're in Deeside.
Okay.
We're literally a stone's throw from the Airbus facility there at Broughton.
Okay, Broughton. So that's not far from here, actually. So
absolutely.
You're part of kind of quite a vibrant northwest aerospace industry.
It is, of which Aerospace Wales is such a fundamental part of, and bringing all that together. And obviously there's in the mid Wales, not so much perhaps in the engineering side, and people shoot me down for that, but there's a lot more down at South Wales as well. So Aerospace Wales really brings sort of the top and tail of Wales together in terms of that regard.
So your customers all tend to be whom then? Who are you supplying?
A lot of it is sort of geographical based, so precision engineered parts perhaps don't travel so well, depending on their complexity and what have you. So a lot of it is sort of in and around the North East Wales and North West corridor. But we are moving further afield now. We do actually export to the USA. We're part of the supply chain for the Lockheed Martin JSF. Locally, we look after Raytheon at Broughton, and we have a lot of sort of big names in there. A lot of, obviously I can't comment on, but a lot around that's the sort of regional.
Yeah. Okay. And how many people do you employ?
15 in total.
Only 15. Okay. So
15
it's a very small company.
It is small, but growing, rapidly. And the one thing is it's a hot potato as ever is skills. Yeah. And particularly the high end, the real sort of time served engineers getting hold of and bring you what they need, what the company needs from them.
Yeah. So as a company with only 15 people, it's not like you're out there looking for massive numbers of new graduates or people with the right skills. You want the right people.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you go about finding that?
A very good question. So it's only really recently perhaps we've gone looking for skilled people. Our natural progression has always been apprentice-led, and the reasons for that are you find a lot of the really good skilled people are with companies and they're loyal to them, they stay with them. Quality skills don't move around. They're looked after, and rightly so, and they're tied in with companies, and I can't argue with that whatsoever. But so we've gone as a business since we moved into North East Wales some near 15 years ago now. We've only really gone via the apprenticeship route. We'll do that via taking on work experience people during the summer months or holiday months, and then we'll look to recruit via that way. We have very good tie-ups with Coleg Cambria locally, the Bersham Road and the Kelsterton Road sites, wonderful people there. Obviously, they've taken a lot of apprentices from bigger companies in the area. But we were looking for perhaps some more niche type skills that we can develop and grow. And what's also a huge plus in terms of Welsh Government sponsorship is we can take them beyond that. As a small company, previously, degrees were probably something too far for us. We couldn't invest. But now through Welsh Government support, we're able to take an apprentice through level 2, level 3, level 4, and then on to degree based.
So they're doing a degree apprenticeship while working for you.
Absolutely. So we're retaining that skill for potentially up to 7-8 years, which is wonderful. Previously very, very difficult to retain an apprenticeship beyond perhaps even level 4 if they wanted to go that far.
So they considered a company like yours to be a way in, but a sort of a springboard to other things. I guess.
Absolutely, almost an entry to that. And I guess previously this kind of, there was a resentment with it being a small company. You want to hold on to those skills and you want to rely on them to grow. But fundamentally, there's no such thing as jobs for life now, let's face it. People do move around. There's a lot of cross-pollination. So it's about having that person for, not say as long as possible, but the best years, and also giving them quite a bit. We're very fortunate that a lot of people we've had through Tarvin Precision have gone on to amazing careers in Formula One, aircraft design, helicopter design, MRO maintenance. But interestingly, we've actually got one to come back to us from F1 as well. So you do a good job early on. They remember, they'll come back. So it's everything is about people and how you treat people, how you look after people, and maybe get them back another day.
As we were saying before we started recording, for a small company with so few people that you need at any one time, to be a way in, an entry point for people to go on and have a stellar career in the industry, is that actually reflects well on you as a company, even though you'd like to retain those skills?
Of course, I think it's something we've been around for 30 years. We've had an awful lot of apprentices through, and we've honed the process, and we've got a lot better at offering them and delivering them, and working with the guys as well, and making sure they are as as competent as they possibly can be. So it's a big plus. It's not an ego thing; it's a pride thing when someone comes back or someone remembers you. I've had a few people that have been through the process have reached back and sort of said, "Look, what we did with you guys is phenomenal, and has made us to do that." So that's a big plus.
So you said you get work experience. So you're bringing in young people, school age, are you?
Absolutely.
So they're not graduates. They are maybe pre-A level or around A level age.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's almost it's wrong to say it's an interview. You want to get the right work experience people. You get so many people that reach out. They just want a week. They're almost desperate to get a week. The parents might have pushed them to try and get a week somewhere. But what I try and do is get someone who's going to get value from work experience. So that we're only a very small part of engineering. We're mechanical. There's so many different facets to engineering. If we can get someone that's got an affinity with mechanical, or even maybe electrical, even in that week we can do a lot with them. And we'll give them the full spectrum of what we do from cradle to grave of the manufacturing of a component. We've just had 2 young guys through now recently. They're at AS level now, so they'll be 17, 18, 18-year-olds. Huge positive feedback from what they've done. and that's given them a lot of understanding about where they do want to go with a career. It's focused them a little bit more, perhaps. So,
what do you find the attitude is of the younger generation? I mean, you're talking about, are they Gen Z or are they even Gen Alpha? I'm not sure now.
I think we're moving on to Gen Alpha.
They're very much the next generation, aren't they? And everyone's trying to work out what their mindset is on things, and in particular their attitudes towards working in aviation. If they're already in engineering, fine, that's great. Obviously, that sort of pre-qualifies them. But do you find that these young next generation of engineers are looking at aviation in particular, or you mentioned Formula One, or are they being sort of tempted by the bright lights of things like Formula One, which have slightly more high profile potential?
Formula One is wonderful in it, and I know people have worked in it, but it's a high burnout. You're probably looking at someone going into there probably maybe 8 to 10 years is the absolute max they can do. Yeah. It's long hours. There's a lot involved in it, but hey, it's a blue ribbon element, and there's a lot happens within F1. A lot of practices are learned that can feed back into industry as well. Engineering in general, I think, doesn't excite them. So definitely elements like, obviously F1, I go back to the blue ribbon, but you are looking at aviation and different aspects of aviation, equally marine. So we're a subcontractor into, even though we're a small company, into lots of different areas and lots of different pockets and different things. Aviation, defence, the two go together, but it can be intrinsically difficult. Marine is a huge interest. Marine is definitely growing, and there's a lot going on in terms of that in the UK at the moment. Yeah. So it's if you just said broad range mechanical engineering, perhaps that's not enough exciting enough for them. But and it'd be wrong to say aviation is a niche, because it's not a niche, but it does draw people in. Yeah. I mean, that's it. Is the industry doing enough, do you think? Combined, I think we talked earlier a bit about how you've got competition within the industry for skills, which you'd expect, obviously. There's always going to be inter-competition. But at the same time, what the industry needs is more people into the industry, not just move around the people who are already in it. So do you think the industry does enough? Maybe events like this help to broaden the scope, to widen the net? It's interesting how you go to events like this. Perhaps not so much today, but the more some of the events I've been to, and some of the larger events as well, how you do get a lot of students there, and not necessarily sort of people on graduate programs or whatever. You're getting sort of people who are interested in careers, and you sort of stood on the stand, and previously you might be, I haven't got time for you, but actually, no, they're asking really pertinent questions, and it's quite interesting. Again, something you and I were talking along earlier was that perhaps there's not that march towards just the sort of the Route 1 degree. So that people actually are getting far as A-levels and then looking back and going, actually, I don't mind going slightly sideways or perhaps a little bit back to get onto some kind of apprenticeship program. Not necessarily degree apprenticeship, something that feeds in. They are looking for, they're quite a discerning generation, Gen Z. I know we can sort of look at them and say lots of different things, and maybe Gen Alpha before them, but they're very... they've gone away, they've done the research, they've looked into the different areas of the career. If they're turning up at an aviation event, it's because there's a very much, aviation is for them. And I'm sure it's the same in terms of the other different industries. So they are looking for companies to get with, and smaller companies have the interest because they'll get a lot more skills. They perhaps won't be hot-housed into one particular aspect of what it is, and which I don't be unfair to the bigger companies. They're looking for round pegs, round holes. Whereas the smaller companies, they're going to get a broad range of skills quite quickly. Final thought before we finish, just on the sector, in terms of its importance to not only Wales, which is where we are today, but UK in general. Is there enough support, do you think? Is there enough vision from government to say, look, actually, this is a sector that traditionally Britain's been very good at, and still has a lot of great companies, clearly. But it's something also for the future, and it's something we can really build a vibrant economy on the back of. Is there enough of that going on? I'm going to sound like my father now, because he used to drill it into me. And my belief is that government has never actively supported manufacturing, and that too many industries have been crushed in the UK because of a lack of support or whatever. Equally, though, I must balance that and sort of say a lack of capability within management of big companies and big industries to sustain and keep going on and to evolve, like perhaps many other nations have as well. Is there enough government support? There's support out there, and we're very, very lucky in the engineering industry that Welsh Government do support and take a very, very active role in what they do. UK-wide, the support is there, and we've got to be fair because there's so many different areas that need government support. It doesn't have to be monetary. It's other ways. It's different ways. It's perhaps encouraging the primes, the big guys, to get more involved with the smaller companies. It's interesting. I spoke to a guy who's come along today, and he sort of said, look, we're from a big company, but you've got all the credentials we need. We absolutely want to work with you, because perhaps there is a little bit of a mandate coming down for the big companies to work with the smaller, agile companies that want UK work and UK-based work. So, yeah, I'm not going to sit here and just batter the government, because let's face it, decades show that. And it's not all about money, but it's about making sure that the British industry is supported as much as it possibly can be, because we need to keep manufacturing here. We need to have our own IP, our own products.
Being an island, flying will always be important.
Hugely,
just to keep the lights on, I guess. Just to keep the economy flowing. So, look, Dave, our time's up. But thanks very much for that. I hope you enjoyed the day and got a lot out of being here today. No, and the best luck for the future.
Thanks very much. Yeah, appreciate that.
Thanks a lot. Okay, so joining me now at the Aerospace Wales Expo is Steve Beasley, who's the founder and managing director of Metrology Engineering Services, or MES as you call it. Welcome, Steve. Thanks for joining us on this edition.
Thank you.
Good to see you again.
And you?
Just explain to me what you do and what metrology is.
Quite simply, metrology is the measurement, the science of measurement, and we apply that to the aircraft industry across a number of fields, business, defence, commercial. Generally involves some sort of assessment of damage structurally somewhere on the aircraft.
Yeah, and why is that increasingly important? I've seen on your stand down there, it talks about the users of your technology being more efficient in what they do. So why does that help in their operations?
There's a number of reasons, really. Firstly, turnaround time, getting the data to the OEMs in a better format to allow them to process that data quicker. But as you collect that data, allowing you over time to deliver solutions for the asset over the fleet, and understanding how that is working for you as you bring aircraft in and out of your facility.
And at the heart of this, last time we met was at an event run by a company called Hexagon in Milton Keynes at the Red Bull Formula One HQ, wasn't it? So the equipment that Hexagon provide to the industry, they provide lots of different kinds of equipment, but some of the more sort of almost sci-fi kind of stuff is about laser measurement. It's being able to measure at such a fine detail that you're really getting under the skin of what's going on with every part.
Absolutely, and that comes with challenges. Bringing Formula One technology into aerospace is a good thing, obviously. But we quite often find that sometimes people are a little bit afraid of data, of that extra knowledge. But actually, what we manage to turn around in most cases is that the application of the data and the acquisition of the data is a lot more rapid, which actually gives you a better solution for the life of the asset. And it's better to understand what you're dealing with rather than to try and fix the bit you can see. It's about understanding the bits you can't see and the wider picture for the life of the asset. If you could tackle that head on, then you're protecting the asset and giving your customer a much better outcome, really.
And tell us a bit about MES. How long have you been going? And
trading now for 2.5 years. We're based out of Newport, South Wales. Trading for 2.5 years, predominantly in the aerospace industry, but the model that we've applied within the aerospace industry and the MRO community has seen us branch out into rail, mechanical engineering.
You started in aviation.
We're aviation guys, customer services, customer support, AOG, frontline, complex damage, you name it, we've seen it really in terms of the types of damage that we get to see. But we're now applying it to everyday C-check inspection, everyday jobs that can be done very quickly, sometimes with a hand scanner, sometimes with something more complex, depending on what we're dealing with.
And you're in Newport, so you're in that part of South Wales where there's a nice hub of particularly MRO companies down there. How is that helpful to be part of a little community in a geographical space?
It's been vital to the start of the company, actually, as an ambassador for Aerospace Wales and also chairman of the MRO hub in Wales, co-chairman of the hub. Sorry, we get to work and sort of exist alongside Airfin, EQ, Nordam, Kaedav, BAMC, etc., etc. You know, we're lucky to have that community, and it's a very strong MRO community in Wales. We're always banging on about it. It's nice to be finally as a company part of that, really.
And no doubt you compete ferociously because companies are there to
compete.
But,
of course.
But there's a degree of cooperation, is there, when you're out there promoting the sector?
Absolutely. So we're not typically engine guys, but we've relied on engine support from providers in South Wales, and they helped us out massively, actually tier 2'd into us to allow us to actually respond to our customer on an AOG basis, actually. Right. So it's been very collaborative and very cooperative, and they appreciate the innovation that we bring to the party, really.
And does that make that part of Wales, but then I guess more broadly the UK economy, sort of a leader in this? You talk about innovation. Is that part of Wales? Are we seen as being a sort of a world leader in this sort of technology, or should we be? Because there is a lot of work going on down there.
Yeah, I think we're very quiet about our work and how we go about it, who our customers are, and the work that we do. But we are breaking down barriers with the innovative approach that we've taken, and the early adopters of that innovative approach are now reaping the benefits of the data that we've collected in the 2.5 years, the experience we've gained with the people that have taken us on. And we're not talking small companies here. We're working, our main customers are all OEMs, primes, airlines, MROs directly. So we'd like to think we're leading the way a little bit, but it is a hotbed. Yeah, I think we've got a very good approach to innovation, supported by the Welsh Government heavily, and the team at the Welsh Government have been very supportive in that.
And how many people do you employ?
We're at 12 at the moment.
Okay.
We are recruiting. I think I mentioned earlier, we put a job advert out, and over 400 people applied for a graduate position. Okay. So
that's at graduate level, is it? So
that's a graduate engineer straight out of university. But we also take on interns. We've got graduate apprenticeships on the go. But we're trying to bridge that gap between the apprenticeship level and the experienced engineer level, and bring some graduates on now.
How do you find finding people? I mean, you're actually near Swansea University, who I went to see their stand earlier.
Right.
They've got a very big engineering section there, and I think Wrexham University are here as well. So there's plenty of universities around. Are they producing the kind of people that you need?
I think for us, it's about the type of person, it's the attitude and the aptitude. I think we can teach them the engineering side of things. They do have a very good output. We work with Swansea, Cardiff, USW, and across the water as well, UWE, Bristol and Bath. Because the Welsh, a lot of the Welsh guys moved over the bridge as well. But we're very active in that sphere. I did a graduate apprenticeship way back when, in the 90s, one of the first guys to do it, really. And I'm a strong advocate of it. And with the interns and the work placements and the summer placements, we're growing our youngsters from an early age. And they're straight on site with us, with the engineers on aircraft, actually visualising and seeing. And that is the only comment I would have between the university and the actual job situation, is actually seeing the asset,
real time,
seeing the product,
real experience. Are you hopeful? We know that the biggest skills gap at the minute is in the engineering side of things, and at the end of the day, if you haven't got engineers, you can't get the aircraft in the air. So. Are you hopeful that that's being addressed, and that we're inspiring the next generation? It's
a strange old market. As I said, 400 people applied for one graduate position from all over the UK. I think the resources there, is the skill set there necessary that we need when they come straight out of university? Probably not. As I mentioned, there's no time on aircraft as such. Right. That's the bit that's missing. And we're looking at provided some training along those lines as well, to give guys access to the aircraft early doors. So
things are finishing around us, and people are leaving the event today. But what has it been for you, and what have you got out of being here today?
It's always great to be at the Welsh events. Particularly proud, being a proud Welshman, obviously, but it's nice to bring it home. There's been a lot of good companies here. It's great to catch up with yourself as well. I think we've got some really big players actually that have taken the time to come and show the offering, and a very good offering from the innovation to the mainstream.
There's a diverse number of companies here, from relatively small to some of the big boys,
Yeah.
and then real sense that there's an ecosystem here and people work together. They obviously people do have to compete as ever, but there's a sort of shared understanding that the industry, rising tide raises all boats actually. So the industry needs to work together, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Particularly at the moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Look, Steve, good to catch up.
Brilliant.
Thanks very much.
Thanks very much, Lee.
See you
Cheers.
again.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so for this final little interview that we're doing here at Aerospace Wales Expo, I'm joined by Rob Bolam, who is the Professor of Aeronautical Engineering at Wrexham University.
That's correct, yes.
Rob, thanks for joining us. And we're near the end. Champagne is being served, so we won't take too much of your time. But just tell us a bit about Wrexham University and what you do there that's relevant to the aerospace industry.
Well, Wrexham University, quite a young university, became a university in 2008, and only last week we got our what we call research degree awarding powers, which means we can now award doctoral degrees to research students.
Okay.
Which is a big fill-up to our organisation. We're really pleased about this. What I do there is I lecture in engineering, but I also conduct research, and I direct and head up the Research Excellence Framework for our Unit of Assessment 12,
Okay.
which helps to deliver funding from the government to our organisation based on the research impact that we have. So we study the research impact that we have. We have various areas that we specialise in, and the area which I'm particularly involved in is electrical propulsion for aircraft. And that area is, there are quite a few players in electrical propulsion for aircraft. But what we do is we look at high-speed propulsion of aircraft. So that's speeds between about Mach 0.6 and Mach 1.
Right.
So the upper subsonic range, where most commercial aircraft operate.
Yeah.
So we've developed technology there, which we've actually developed a unit called a fast fan unit and patented a device which can enable very, very fast aircraft propulsion.
You had a mock-up on your stand.
We had a
early,
mock-up
didn't you?
on the stand, yes.
You saw that. Just explain how it differs from a conventional engine then.
Yeah, well, it's an electric fan basically, but this time the fan is rim driven. That means the motor is on around the outside the rim of the fan, and the fan blades are attached to a rim, so they're closed at the tips, and there are no losses caused from that, like tip losses. So this really helps because we can put a lot of energy into a small volume of air, and that helps us to get a good pressure rise. We have two stages of the fan. So when a fan spins and turns the air, there's a whirling motion put into the air. And that really is a bit of a loss because the whirling motion, we want the air to come out the back of the engine in a straight line, ideally, and not have any spinning and sideways motion to it. So we have two fans. One fan spins it in one direction, and the other fan kind of unspins it and straightens it out.
Okay.
But that also enables to put two lots of energy into the air, if you understand what I mean, to double the amount of energy we transfer into the air.
Yeah. So this could be the future of propulsion for commercial aircraft. You hope it will be.
We certainly hope it will be,
Yeah.
but we understand that electrical propulsion is limited by the weight and the energy density of batteries.
Yeah.
And also the power density, the amount of power they can give. The energy density is the main problem, and the aircraft flying on batteries are very heavy or they're limited in range. So we look at hybrid propulsion where we have an engine driving electrical generators which then drive these fans.
Right.
And there are aspects of the engine which we can use, which we're also developing at the moment, which can make it very, very efficient. Typically a jet engine at its best is between 40 and 45% efficient, and we are aiming to get up to 70%.
Okay. So do you think as an academic in this, looking at this closely, the future for electric is a hybrid world?
Definitely.
Or will we go full electric?
I think full electric you can already get for drones or very light aircraft, small applications like that. But for commercial applications and really the aircraft world, the aviation world, is about high speed, flying at higher altitudes. To enable this, you need to have a type of fan jet type arrangement, and this can be done electrically, but to get there at this stage, with the current technology, you would also have to have a gas turbine engine.
Right. Is this all based on on battery technology? And once that improves, you can do anything, or is that's what's holding things back
in the perfect world, if batteries were really powerful, we could do anything.
Yeah.
But truth of the matter is, it's not so bad at all, really, because the configurations of systems we're looking at, the batteries, we only need batteries enough to power the aircraft in the event that the gas turbine engine fails. And for most aircraft, in the certification areas we're looking, you can have single-engined aircraft and certificate them in this area for what we call Part 23 aircraft. So the batteries are really an added bonus. So the batteries don't have to be particularly big; they just have to have enough power to bring the aircraft around and land it.
Yeah.
If they fail on takeoff, for instance.
So on your stand earlier, I saw there was a picture of the new research facility,
yes,
which I believe was recently opened at Wrexham. Just tell us about that.
Yes, we have a wonderful new research facility called CANVOD-I. And the CANVOD is the Welsh word for exploration or discovery. And the AU, the I, is the Welsh word for gold. Okay. And if you look at the picture of it, about half of the building is covered in gold type paneling.
Yeah,
so it
not
looks
gold
very,
leaf. But
not gold leaf, no. No, it's for Wrexham University, this is a very significant investment. And for the area, it's a big, significant move, and we're trying to improve and increase our research base as best we can. Yeah. And it falls in step really with us getting these research degree awarding powers. And we are pursuing many areas. At the moment, the areas which we are doing a lot of research in this new research centre are composite technologies, electrical propulsion, power electronics, renewable energies, and specialised antennae designs. We also have another campus which has got a research centre on it called Optic, where we specialise in doing optical coatings, the highly accurate polishing of lenses, and also work with lasers and low Earth orbit satellites.
Okay, you've been here today with a lot of companies, obviously Wales based or close to Wales, and at least. To what extent do you work with the industry on these things? Obviously, you work hand in glove with businesses in the sector.
Yeah, it's part and parcel of what we do. I would imagine all universities are the same. We don't sort of work in what people typically call a silo. Yeah. We work with industry. So if we want to do a research project, right from the outset, we engage with industry to make sure that what we're doing is what they want. Yeah. And also it helps when we're trying to attract funding, that we've actually gone down these paths and have got the support of industry, and that they see the viability in these new products we want to develop and these new services we want to give.
Yeah, but in terms of getting the students into Wrexham, are you seeing sort of renewed interest in this area from school leavers who are doing the right subjects at school? Do they aspire to work on this kind of technology?
Oh, definitely, we have a lot of interest. The more research we've done, the more interest we actually generate. So, we have students come from all over Europe to come specifically to work and study at Wrexham based on certain areas of technology that we do. Right. We're particularly well known for doing unmanned aircraft, and we've had quite a few students come who want to study drone technology and aerodynamics. Yeah. And also we do a lot to do with auto sport, car racing and things like that.
Yeah. So how has the day been for you? The whole point of this event is get people together, discuss what's going on, collaborate.
Well, this event has been absolutely wonderful. It's great to see it in North Wales. It's on the doorstep for us at Wrexham, which is unusual. Usually we have to go to London or to Cardiff for an event like this. Yeah. And this is unique for us, and it's really, really good. We've met so many people, and in fact made so many contacts. It's been of real value to us. Yeah. We've got a pocket full of contacts, which we're going to follow up on, and we just have enjoyed ourselves immensely.
Yeah. obviously Wrexham is world famous for its football team these
It
days.
is, yeah, it is. these days.
Maybe not so much for its university and
much,
even maybe less so for its aeronautical expertise. But do you see that changing? I mean, not just Wrexham, but Wales, but then more widely the UK. It's got a long history and a very proud history of innovation in aeronautics. Do you think we're on the cusp of regaining that a little bit?
In aeronautical engineering?
Yeah, just leading the world again in terms of innovation.
Definitely. I think we've always had the innovative streak in the UK, and we're very lucky. I think the big challenge, or one of the biggest challenges, well, there are lots of challenges, but from an industrial point of view, is the sovereign capabilities of companies within the UK. Where over the past 20 or 30 years, a lot of our expertise have gone abroad.
Yeah.
To rebuild that is a big challenge, but I've no doubt that we can do that quite easily as long as we start now and make progress on it, positive progress, and get the right backing from the government to do such a thing. I think there are other challenges as well. So, for instance, I think AI is going to be a big challenge for engineering in general. We've got to embrace AI in the different areas that it involves in engineering. So in areas like application, the applications which we have of using programs for things like computer-aided design. At some point, we'd be able to just speak to a computer and it would design something for us.
Yeah.
We won't have to actually sit there and do all the clicking of buttons and drawing that is currently done and modelling, but not only application, but then verification of the results.
Yeah.
Also, I would imagine there are two other areas which are very important. One of them is being innovation, and I think AI can help with innovation. There is lots of methods that this can be done, and algorithms can be generated for innovation. But even more unique is the fact that we could also do vision. So you could have vision, innovation, application, and then verification. And those are the four areas in engineering which I think AI is going to have a massive impact.
Yeah.
And in the UK, we have to get ahead of that, I believe.
I think the interesting for AI in when it comes to the engineering side of it, everyone else is talking about AI taking people's jobs away, but in engineering, there's none of people anyway. So AI is actually being used to augment the jobs of people who are in it today, so that we don't need quite so many because there simply is a lack of. So there's the opposite problem in engineering, was that AI is the solution there, isn't it? In many respects.
I believe so. I think the word you used there was really good, augment. I think if you want to accelerate the ability to make and to innovate, then if you embrace AI in those four areas that I mentioned, you can do things which would otherwise take 30, 40, 50 years to do. You could do them within 5 years, providing you develop the AI properly.
Yeah.
And that would then accelerate how innovation in engineering is achieved. And providing we use the right parameters for AI regarding things like sustainability and the application of those things, it will be for the better.
Look, that's very interesting, and we could talk all day, I'm sure, but champagne has been served.
I could hear
so I can hear the chinking of glasses, so I'll let you get off to that. And
thank you.
Thanks for joining us,
It's been a
Professor
pleasure.
Rob.
Thank you, Lee.
Good to speak to you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.